Welcome to 15 Minutes in Strategy. My name is David Martin, and I'm the co-founder of Execution 360. 15 Minutes in Strategy is an ongoing discussion with experts across a multitude of concentrations related to strategy and execution. I'm excited and honored to have our guest, Richard Thompson. Welcome, Richard.
Thank you, David.
Richard honed his expertise as a U.S. Navy SEAL, as well as being a successful real estate entrepreneur. Additionally, he's a certified Unbeatable Mind Coach and Vice President of Sales for Unbeatable. First off, thank you for your service, Richard. It is always an amazing opportunity to gain insight from those who have served, and especially from one who's an expert in mindset and mental fortitude. I'm really looking forward to learning more about the morning ritual and winning in your mind, and how one can harness the strategic advantages that can be realized. So let's jump right into it. Richard, can you give a quick overview of Unbeatable Mind and what the morning ritual is and how it ties into strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, David. I appreciate that. So Unbeatable Mind was founded by Commander Mark Devine, who has 20 years experience in the SEAL teams, went on to build multiple businesses successfully and multiple books out there. I'm sure you see him out there, and his podcast, as well as multiple black belts. He's a yogi. I mean, just a wealth of experience. And I have the great fortune of being one of the coaches for Unbeatable Mind. And one of the things that is big for us in Unbeatable Mind is the morning ritual. And it's a ritual in a way that it's not a routine, right? Routines are habituated, which is great. And a ritual is meaningful and purposeful the way I see it. So imagine waking up in the morning, right? And the first words, what is the first words that you say to yourself in the morning, right? Most people, it's like, oh, right? They're hitting snooze, or like, how much can I get away with not having to get up? It's cold, it's dark. I want to just put the blankets over me. And imagine if you can actually wake up and the first thing you're thinking of in the morning is how grateful you are to be alive, how grateful you are to have this day, this opportunity to evolve and grow into something that you aspire to become. Imagine being able to start your day like that. And we call those the first words. And part of the morning ritual is going and having a glass of water, right? A clean glass of water. Could you imagine in the morning being grateful to have a glass of clean drinking water, right? How often do we get up and we just assume we go into the shower, we brush our teeth, and we have clean drinking water? How many people in the world don't have that? And how often do we take that for granted, myself included, right? But I try to shift out of being habitual and being grateful and being on purpose right away. That's part of my morning ritual. And it used to be difficult for me. It used to be hard getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and being tired. And it shifts over time. It's a muscle that gets built when I'm actually doing something that's bigger than myself. It's meaningful, it's purposeful, and it's in my bones today. Everything that we train and teach is a muscle to be built over time, right? So we don't rise to the level of our expectations. We simply default to the level of our training. That's Archilochus. That's what I learned in the SEAL teams. It's like, yeah, we're not going to be John Wick, just because we want to be, and we saw 3 of his movies. It's like, it takes a lot of training, and on a daily basis, that actually either really excites you or it scares you. We believe it can be trained. Imagine being trained to be thinking and focusing on gratitude and to be purposeful and meaningful in the things that we say matter to us. That's what I want every morning, getting out of bed on purpose with meaning. So I'm downstairs, I'm having my glass of clean drinking water, get into gratitude, so thankful to have this day in front of me so that I can actually make a difference in the world to something that matters to me. We call that the one thing in 3 Ps. So in a nutshell, that simply is, what's my purpose? What are my passions? And can I ask myself powerful questions to really make sure that I'm getting to the heart of what I'm creating that day? So if I'm really clear on what my purpose is in the world, all I'm doing is taking that from the back of my awareness and bringing it right to the front. So if I'm creating a new business, if I'm creating a new team at work, and it's my job, my role to exponentially grow this team or to grow the bottom line or whatever it is that's your goal, is like, who are you going to show up to and for at work? radically focused on what's that type of person that you're going to be to have the most impact. What happens with most people? They walk into work and just try to make things happen. You'll get crushed, right? There's a quote that we love, and it's attributed to Sun Tzu, written, almost 3,000 years ago at this point. And it says, victorious warriors win and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war and then seek to win. So we can start to win in our mind, right? Because that's really key, so that we can visualize success. What's that day going to look like? I'm watching my plan throughout the day. Like, who am I going to be in this meeting? What am I going to show up as? Who am I going to be for my family, for myself? What is my purpose? Is this still true? What are my passions? Am I doing things on my calendar that drive me forward into that? Or am I just busy doing a whole lot of things that don't really matter, right? So life can be a bunch of check boxes, or it can actually be something that's meaningful and purposeful. And that's really up to me and the way I think about it every morning. So the morning ritual is one of those tools that we use to make sure that we're actually diving deep into things that we say matter to us. In our morning ritual, we get up and we do some somatic movement, Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, some type of, it could be flexibility, whatever it is, moving the body, connecting with the body, being grateful to have this mobility, right? Especially I appreciate it more as I age. And, in the SEAL teams, rode hard and put away wet. So now we're getting better at really connecting and moving the body in a way. It's a vehicle for us to express why we're in the world. So imagine every morning getting up and doing those activities. That's what we do. And that's part of our morning ritual. And it gets built over time, and it's not written in stone, and it morphs over time. It will grow and morph with you as you grow as well.
So what if you don't have the time in the morning to complete your morning ritual?
It's a great question. And there's lots of days where I don't get the full gamut of allotted time that I ideally would like to have. So let's say I get up at 5 and I've got a half hour to get my morning ritual in, right? And ideally it'd be 2 hours, let's say. So I've got a half hour, hoo-yah, let's go. So I will go down, get into gratitude as quickly as possible, and I will get my water, my coffee. I don't miss my coffee. I might miss my water once in a while. And I get into my journaling, and it might be a shortened version. So if I journal for 5 minutes, it might be 1 minute to contemplate. And then I'll take those questions with me. So if I'm driving into work, I may contemplate on some of those questions as I'm driving, right? So we call them spot drills. So I take my training with me into the day, because either the day is going to train you or you are training yourself throughout the day. And so one of the rituals that we have within the morning is to do a box breathing practice. And that's simply a method of breathing. It helps us get focused, and it gets us into a state where we maybe actually get into a meditative practice. But not every day does everybody have 20 minutes, or do they have 20 minutes to invest in that time. So let's say ideally you have 20 minutes to do a breath practice. And today we have 2 minutes to be able to do the breath practice. We simply collapse it to the time that we allot to it. And then throughout the day, let's say I'm going in and I'm driving to work, and I may do some box breathing on the way to work, right? So I will modify accordingly. And ideally, you'll do the morning ritual in such a way that you're willing to invest the time that you see there's value for it. So if we see the value over time, you will make time, right? And I see it all the time with my clients and with an unbeatable mind. It's like, oh, I don't have time to work out. Okay. You're simply choosing not to work out. You're simply choosing to invest your time into other things. And it's not wrong, but don't get caught up in the trap of saying you don't have time. You have all the time in the world to invest in the things that you say matter most. So as soon as you say, hey, my training is more important than me going out to lunch or eating, or maybe cutting off a little bit of a meeting, awesome. That's what we have. So get really clear and stop copying out because people say they don't have time. You have all the time there is, and then we are simply going to execute on the priorities that we have. And if you look at your schedule, you're simply showing me what your priorities really are.
So, what are some of the benefits from doing the morning ritual and then getting set with winning in your mind?
Yeah, so the benefits are huge over time. And it's a practice. This is a lifetime practice. And like I said earlier, it will change over time. So I have an 11-year-old son who I just adore. And I'm so grateful to have him in the morning. And he's part of my morning ritual. So in the morning, I know at 6:30, I get to go and wake him up. It's one of the coolest things that my wife and I get to do. So we're a team and we walk upstairs every morning that I'm not traveling, and we get to go wake him up. He's there sleeping with his dog. He's got this little Boston Terrier, and they're, inseparable. And I take the dog and take him out to the restroom, and my son Luca gets ready to get to school. But that moment, like, it doesn't have to be an hour with the family. It can be that purposeful, meaningful time together where we start our day together. And then I ask him what he's grateful for. I ask him when he's downstairs eating breakfast, what's he looking forward to in the day? Imagine asking your team what they're looking forward to today. What are they grateful for? How are they grateful for the job that they have? Maybe that starts to shift their mind into going, damn, you know what? I take this for granted all the time. Maybe I should have a different perspective, or maybe there's another way to invite myself into having a new perspective on the work I do. Is your work purposeful? Is it meaningful? And if not, then how can you start to shift it into being more purposeful and meaningful? Because usually it's just a thought pattern that you have about that.
So, Richard, as a dad who's got kids in sports and, including one that's a wrestler, the discipline that goes to that sport, I can really appreciate sort of bringing, that sort of discipline that we had in a youth and the things that we love to sort of the things that we do every day. Is there some sort of examples that you can share with us with regards to the morning ritual, winning in your mind?
Oh, absolutely. So I'll give you two quick examples. Like with your son, the wrestler, I had the opportunity to work with the Philadelphia Flyers, a pro hockey team, and we worked a lot about building elite teams. And before they ever stepped foot on the ice, we would talk about winning in your mind. Like that game was won or lost before they ever stepped foot on the ice. And it's like with your son, it's like when he gets clear, when he draws that line in the sand, knowing that he won the match in front of him before he ever walks on the mat. That's a mindset. And it's a knowingness, it's a certainty that you develop within you. And it's a muscle that can be trained every day. So imagine walking into your next important meeting. I work with CEOs all the time on this. They have a big meeting, a big board meeting, whatever type of meeting it's going to be. And they close their eyes and they think about and they focus on winning in their mind. Like, what is the outcome that I want in this meeting today? Who am I going to be? Who do I need to be so that I can have the outcome that I'm looking for? What do I need to bring to the table? What type of presence, what type of courage do I need to have right now to win in my mind, so when I walk through that door, I know I'm going to have the outcome that I desire before I ever start that meeting. And if you walk in with any doubt, you will be slashed up within that meeting. Something will happen and your confidence will wane, or you won't have the certainty involved to really win in your mind. And that's a muscle that gets practiced every day, every day. And then over time, it's like, I got this. And you can start to shift it into any meeting or a way of being that you want to be in that moment, either with your family, with yourself, or with other coworkers. And that's a muscle that gets built over time.
How do you get the rest of the team to adopt to the practices of the morning ritual, winning in your mind, so that everyone is walking in there as a cohesive unit?
Yeah. So the easiest way to do it is tell everybody they have to do 100 burpees if they don't win in their mind, or 1,000 push-ups or something like that. Now, and make it fun, right? So as serious as the work is that we do on a daily basis, one of the things I learned in the SEAL teams is if you can insert humor, if you can make it fun, if you can really connect to the purpose of, like, why the hell would we do this? Why would we take all this time as a morning ritual? Why would we do all this work? And if until you can connect it to something bigger than yourself, it becomes very challenging. So when you get your team connected to something bigger than themselves, a purpose larger than themselves, and your organization is doing something that is so big, it takes so much courage, Now people are going, wow, I need to become something more than I currently am for us to see this come to life. And now I'm going to buy in to whatever needs to happen for us to do that, because I don't just show up to work to collect a paycheck. I show up for a purpose. Imagine what a team can do when they show up with a common goal, a common purpose, and they don't lose sight of that on a daily basis. Because even if it's written on the wall, right, it doesn't mean it's in their heart. It's not in their bones. So unless you can walk around to every teammate and say, hey, what is our purpose? What is your purpose? Am I being a great teammate for you? Do I know what your purpose is outside of work? Do you have one? Right. And so when we connect with each other in that way, then we have the opportunity to make something really special.
I think that's a perfect way to bring this conversation to an end right there at that moment. Richard, it's been really special having you here. Thank you so much. You bring a really unique insight to the whole strategy conversation. And if folks wanted to reach you, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, thanks, David. I appreciate that. So just email me, call me, smoke signals. I may try to get you that way too. But yeah, just reach out. If you're interested, if you're curious to find out what we do and we can support you and help your growth and your team's growth, that's what we do. I'm really grateful for this time, and thank you for having Unbeatable Mind on and Unbeatable, and super grateful to get to chat with you. I love doing this.
Thank you so much, Richard.